Hey, if you are watching this, there's something I want you to know. Your story is not over. I'd actually planned on making a different video this time, but I feel like someone might need to hear this. Because with all the noises, the distractions, the varying opinions, and whatever else is we consume in a day, it can be very easy for us to become disheartened and apathetic as well. And trust me, I'm kind of speaking from my own experience. And also, what exactly affects us down these roads can really vary. It's like even just imagining listening to two different pundits. You will have one commenting about how this certain event is like a great win for liberty, while the other one is despairing over the fact that event is the end of liberty. It's like you could take any event and ask two different people about it, and they might have two wildly different perspectives on it. And again, that's part of a good thing, as it can let us know kind of where others are at, and also what may be blind spots in our own lives. But to get back to the main point is that the very fact that you're watching this video proves that your story is not over. And maybe I'm just white pillar on this, but as long as we have the ability to think and then change accordingly, we can have a better tomorrow. And again, you kind of need both the thinking and the change as part of it, because if we just think about something, we may be evaluating over and over in our head and thinking about all the ways we could do it, but without action, nothing's going to really change. We're just stuck where we are. And if we just do different actions without thinking about them, or even just putting our nose down and grinding away, we might just make the situation worse than it was. And again, even with thinking and changing, I'm not going to say that there won't be dark times. I mean, history is full of eras where it seemed like the end of the world was nigh, yet it somehow kept spinning, and our stories kept being woven. I'm actually recording this video before Good Friday and Resurrection Sunday, so that story in particular has been on my mind. Because it really is the perfect example of a story that seemed to end, but wasn't finished. I mean, what else would you call it when people are beginning the week expecting to be part of overthrowing the Roman Empire who had been oppressing them, and then ending the week with having the source of their hopes nailed to a cross? It seems like a pretty clear and tragic end. But that's just it. It was not the end. As 3 days later, hope arose, having defeated enemies far more wide-reaching than even the greatest mortal empire. And granted, you may not believe in that story, but it's still an example of one. And there are countless other stories like it. And I like the Samwise Gamgee quote of the stories that really matter, where they can go to these incredibly dark places, but it's not the end of the story, and we still have several chapters to go. Or maybe it's like you're watching a series and one of the primary characters seems to get killed off, but there's another season or sequel on the way. It's actually kind of surprising what we can sometimes see these darkest events as almost the defining moments for our lives and how they will be our undoing. But our story is actually ongoing. It's like, even if we failed really hard, our story is still going on. And in fact, it's sometimes these darkest moments that actually turn everything around, because we have this tendency to be very comfortable with how we go for the day. So we loathe to make any changes or adjustments. Again, we have our routine, we're set to it, we're marching forward, we're putting our nose to the grindstone, or however the phrase goes, and we're just marching forward day by day. And we're okay with it because we're comfortable. Except we may only change when we are actually then facing pain instead of the comfort we are used to. One example would be to think of how rumble strips, and I actually had to look up the name, are used to this to pay attention to the road when we may be starting to drift off it into the shoulder. It's like it's the bumping thing that keeps us, gets us back on tracks so that we get that wake up call. And so, and another example would be how the doctor may give a bad diagnosis, and it's like sometimes it gives us that perspective on what really matters in life, and also what habits we've had that might have led to the situation we find ourselves in. Again, it's kind of that thing or that perspective on thing that when we face pain, we start to change. And again, I'm speaking in general terms here, because some of us are big growth advocates and so forth, and we may actually encourage other people to grow for the moral sake of growth in a sense, or because even if it hurts, it's the right thing to do. But that doesn't really change most people. Again, it's kind of like it's the pain that will actually make them change. So it's like when we go through these dark times, when we face them, it's often the presentation of an opportunity to change and to start writing another chapter. That doesn't mean everyone's going to. And in fact, some people may be really stubborn and have high pain tolerance in a sense. So they may only realize that kind of too late that they had the opportunity to change, and that it was calling out to them again and again. Like it's like seeing a bunch of bridges out sign, bridges out sign, bridges out sign, and not believing it until it's too late. Again, some people are like that, but I think most of us aren't. And so when we get to that precipice, we may actually start to really think and to be like, yeah, I want a different ending. Of course, this is all my perspective, and I'm biased on the side of hope. So, what do you think? Feel free to leave your comments below, and let's discuss it. Anyway, I'm Jonah. You've been watching Lions Mane Media, where we celebrate stories and the lessons we learn from them. Talk to you later, and have a great rest of your day.